were me and my sisters all dressed up as small ghost children in the graveyard while they would do haunted tours around Halloween.
Oh my
yeah,
God.
we did that too.
Welcome to Ducks Unplugged. 2 minds, 1 podcast, and 0 fluff. It's not just work, it's life, and it's definitely not usual. Let's dive in. Hi everyone, welcome back to Ducks Unplugged. I'm Deanna Dolecki.
I'm Ashley Ruggieri.
And we are here with a full episode today.
Mm-hmm.
We are calling this one Welcome to Backstory. Unplugged, of course. Backstory is going to be the name of our interview episodes.
We're going to try to interview.
Right. So we're gonna test this out on ourselves first and see, frankly, if we suck at this or if we're good. Yeah. And then if it's not too bad, then we'll have like real people on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct. We're the guinea pigs.
We're the guinea pigs. And the idea is backstory is what it sounds like. You're going to learn our backstories. And so we're, in addition to sort of going through a couple of different interviews, we're each going to interview each other at the end of this. We'll start with What the Duck, as we always do. Yes. And then before we jump into the interview section, we're going to talk a little bit about why we're doing this, right? And as I relate it to marketing and what we do as an agency, the devil is in the details, man.
Sure is.
It's all about knowing your client, asking the right questions, truly understanding what somebody is trying to accomplish, what their motivations are. And that's really how you build smart, strong marketing campaigns and programs. Yes. And that's why we've had such a great retention with our clients, because we really, truly get into and understand their business, which, you know, when you first start working with somebody, we ask a lot of questions.
We do.
We're super nice about it, but ask a lot of questions because it really is about understanding the details. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that, and then we'll get into the interview. Who's going first?
Oh, we did not.
We definitely didn't talk about that.
It doesn't matter.
Okay, well, give
Maybe
some thought.
we'll let
I told
Cindy
you today is the day I don't want to make
Cindy's
decisions.
going to choose who goes first.
That's fun for Cindy.
You have a couple minutes to think about it, Cindy.
All right, so let's start with What the Duck.
What the Duck?
I'm going to start with What the Duck.
Do it.
I was horrified watching one of the most recent episodes that we had.
Oh, no.
Because I realized how often I say, okay.
Oh.
Okay. Okay. A lot. So I decided to go back, Ashley, and count how many times in that episode I said, okay.
Can I guess?
It was a 45-minute episode. Guess.
32.
57.
57?
That's more minutes than we had in the podcast. I had a couple of sections where I was like, okay. Do you remember? We probably don't. You're too young. Lethal Weapon. Like,
I don't know that I saw that.
so there was this character that was like, okay. Like, that was me.
That was you.
That was literally me on the podcast.
You know, we're our own hardest critics.
I know,
Because
but-
when I listened to that episode, I didn't
But
really notice it.
I literally went back and counted. And so I'm the What the Duck, because seriously, stop it. Stop saying okay.
I definitely do a lot of yeses and types of affirmations when we speak. So I'll have to keep an eye out for that too.
I don't know. I was slightly horrified with myself.
Well,
so 57.
okay.
That's pretty impressive.
Okay.
Okay. So more than 1 a minute.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I'm the What the Duck. You?
All right. My What the Duck is that I have had a pretty consistent eye twitch for the last couple of weeks in my left eye. And I just wanted to look into this a little bit and see what could this be about. So the twitching of one eye is called eyelid myokymia.
Really? We're trying to pronounce it? Okay.
I'm not a doctor. It is defined as a mild case of occasional eye twitching.
It's stress-induced, isn't it?
This can come from stress, eye strain, certain medications, including caffeine, dry or irritated eyes, including allergies, and lack of sleep.
Okay.
So check. It also can be more common in women. Okay. So maybe that makes me feel a little better. I don't know. But like I've been saying to anybody who will listen, spring is the most stressful season of the year.
Yeah, you're
that's
having
how
a
I
hard
feel.
time. Yeah,
I'm
you're
having a hard time with spring. I need it to be summer. And my body is physically telling me that I'm having a hard time via my eye twitching.
I haven't even noticed it. Which eye?
So one of the other things about eyelid myokymia is that it feels way more pronounced to the person experiencing it.
Oh, so you can feel it.
So
but
oftentimes people actually can't see the twitch, but you can feel.
You can feel
the
it.
twitch.
Okay.
So it's in my my left eye here. So watch out for it. If you see the twitch, you get a prize. I don't know.
So if you start twitching while I interview you, you're like stressed.
Yeah, that's it.
Stressing you out.
There's nothing going on. There's been nothing going on the last couple of weeks.
Okay.
Nothing happening. So just a fun fact. My eye's twitching, and now we know what it's called and the causes.
Well, we don't really know what it's called because you can't pronounce
I-
it, but
well,
I
I'll
understand there's a
yeah.
condition for it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
myokymia.
And you have it.
Eyelid myokymia.
I mean, all right. Sorry.
yeah,
Sorry to hear
that's okay.
you're going through that, Ashley.
I'll survive. I've had worse. I feel like
you have.
I've
You
had worse.
All right, Cindy. So it sounds like we're both the ducks this week. So Cinda, what do you think?
You know, the funny thing is I can relate to both of them. But I'm going to go with the eye twitch just because
Thank
I
you.
have that same issue.
Cindy's
Do you have
eyes
the same
also
eye,
twitching.
what, Mayo, whatever?
I
Like,
mean, I don't know. I was considering it to be old age, but
is it one
There you
eye
go.
for you too?
yeah, it's my left.
Oh my gosh, the left again.
Maybe it's like something with that side of the brain.
I don't know.
Maybe we should get checked out, Cindy.
I mean,
we might have to go to
maybe
the
there's
doctor.
something you can get for it. I
Okay,
mean, all
we'll
right.
see.
Well, sorry if we're stressing you out, guys, but
I mean, it's just life.
twitch away, man.
It's life.
Yeah. All right. So heading in. So congratulations on your win.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
We should get a little trophy and pass it back and forth, and it can just live on the shelf. I don't know.
Okay. See.
Just
Okay.
like a-
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So, devil in the details. Importance of knowing your client and asking the right questions. Let's
Yes.
talk a little bit about that before we kind of jump into the interviews. So,
Yeah.
I took some notes, and you want to jump into if you had some additional
Absolutely,
thoughts.
yes.
So a couple of different ways that we do this, right? So, marketing and creative briefs are huge in the agency process.
They are.
And it's all about collecting information, asking questions, and trying to understand. Like everybody's going to say, "Yeah, I want to grow," right? Or
Yeah.
I want more customers. What kind of customers, though, right? You don't just want any customer. You want the right kind of customers that are going to stick, spend more, do more, and be really loyal to your brand, right?
Yep.
So you're not constantly chasing after them if they lapse and
Yes.
spending money on that. So our marketing and creative briefs really allow us the ability to get in there and understand what the motivation is, what the goal is, what does success mean, and then really build out the campaign from there, including a pretty robust audience recommendation, really on point creative,
Yes.
and all the things associated. So I think that's a really important part of the process. I don't know if you'd add anything to that.
Yeah, and one that we do different at Blue Duck Agency. So in my previous world with agencies, working with agencies, a lot of the time the brief comes from the client. But we are actually the originators of the brief based on all the information we learn from our clients.
Yeah.
So we ask a lot of questions up front to be able to make sure that the information we're giving to our teams to then execute the project is right. So that was something that was new when I started here, but I think it's worked better
Yeah.
in my personal experience because I am able to drive the project better as opposed to just passing on a brief
Right,
from a
because you don't
client.
know why they necessarily said what they did. We do have
Exactly.
one client that now requires
Yep.
they send the brief.
Yep.
But then we take that brief and we turn it into our brief.
And we ask
that
more
can.
questions
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Just always make sure we're going to hit the mark on what we need to do for them. So I do think briefing is important and it can be the last thing that people want to do.
It's true.
So you need to prioritize the brief. Otherwise, the project is not going to come out.
Right. And you have to prioritize your questions because you don't want to irritate your new client or your client either,
Correct.
right?
Yep.
So it's finding that balance.
Little work efficiency hack, write your brief with ChatGPT. I've been doing this now where you can physically upload your creative brief into your ChatGPT and have it talk through the questions with you.
Oh,
Because a lot of the times I feel like if I'm trying to type something out, I will mental block myself in trying to get all the spelling correct or trying to be able to keep up with the thoughts in my head and how fast I can type. So I find that it's worked really well to be able to speak to it instead.
So it's still your thoughts
It's
and
still
your ideas.
all my thoughts.
Okay. Yeah.
But then Juniper is collecting all of those and she's helping me get them into the brief, or she's saying, hey, you forgot about this. Here's this prompt to start talking to me about. So that's been a cool kind of efficiency.
That is
hack
good.
on
That's
briefing.
great. That's a good use of it. For those that don't listen to previous episodes, we name our chat GPT. Juniper is Ashley's
Mine
friend.
is Juniper.
And if you hear me say Janice, she's my friend.
She's your chat.
My AI friend. And so I think it's about really investing in the clients and building a genuine understanding, right? And including emotional connection, right, to the product or service really is key to selling it effectively, identifying the right audience, and frankly, knowing which platforms to utilize, because that's something else we'll do is bring back forth, the recommendation on, all right, this is who you're going after. This is what you're trying to accomplish. This is what you want to spend, or you won't spend more than X for cost per lead or acquisition. And so that helps us really inform which platforms and how much and the cadence. So, but one example that I can share is our casino client, recent casino client. We were sort of breaking into a little bit of a new industry. We had similar adjacent industries, but we went out there. We went out there, you went out there, and got to experience, what the whole atmosphere, what it felt like to be there, be able to participate and engage in all the different offerings. We're really trying to sell this loyalty program, and a brief can only do so much. And so, the input we got was fantastic.
Yes.
But experiencing it
seeing
firsthand.
it in person, being able to see who's the afternoon clientele versus the night clientele, where are they spending their time, what's going on. It really just does help inform how you're going to think about the project, the campaign, like what the work that you're doing.
Right.
It was helpful.
And what might be a stumbling block for somebody to say yes or want to join, in this case, again, the loyalty program. So you can't do that for everything, but that was one where we're like, this one's a little bit different, and I think we really need to experience it in order to sell it. So that I thought was a good example of backstory and trying to get more information.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So anything else you want to add before we move on to the interview portion of the episode?
I do just think that it's interesting. We've mentioned a couple of times that at Blue Duck Agency, we do ask a lot of questions, and it can be strange when an agency is coming and doing that, because that's not the norm for a lot of agencies. But it's really important for us to be able to understand the goals, what are you trying to do, and how do we get you to that point. So we're asking the questions because we care. We want this to be successful. Whereas I think a lot of brands or companies work with agencies that might not get into that level of detail.
Yeah.
So it's just a different kind of working style that's been really successful for us. And I wrote down listening is a marketing strategy.
Oh, totally.
And that's one of our big things that we do. And it also, when you come onto a call with us, it's never just going to be one-on-one. There's going to be a couple of us there.
Yeah.
Because people are going to listen and interpret in different ways and have different questions. So it's this kind of collective meeting of the minds to get all the information we need.
Yes, very true.
So that's just always been really interesting to me too. And we have a lot of those calls, and we set it up, preface it as, we're going to ask a lot of questions.
Right.
But
this is why.
This is why.
Right.
And it's
we try to bang it out all at once to make it easier.
Yes. So yeah, no, it is so important to know your audience. I mean, otherwise you're really just dead in the water.
That's true.
You're just guessing.
Right. Creative is just, you don't want just pretty creative. You want
it has
effective.
To work.
Right. It has to work. Right. It has work to do.
Yep.
So we thought that, speaking of investment, we want you to be invested in us. So we want to tell you our stories, get to know the host, get to know our brands, if you will. Ashley's is probably much cooler than mine, and that's fine.
I would argue that it is not.
So I didn't get any superlatives in high school, so just start there. I'd have a runner-up.
Okay.
So we'll dive in.
Okay. I kind of did this as if I was going to be Jimmy Fallon and intro you, and you're coming on to the stage on my show.
Okay.
So I wrote a little intro for you.
Oh, Jesus.
And the theme of my interview was a little bit more around like you as a leader and your career.
Okay.
Because I feel like you have a very distinct and different style from a lot of leaders. And I think people can benefit from learning more about how you got to this point.
Okay.
Because sometimes I don't think leaders do a good job of being direct in the right way.
Yep.
So let's do it.
Here we go.
I wore my sparkly earrings too, as if I was a late night talk show host.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Ducks Unplugged. Tonight's guest needs no official introduction. She's the fearless leader, the glue that holds the flock together, and frankly, she's the definition of big duck energy. You know her as president of Blue Duck Agency, but tonight we're diving deeper. Introducing Deanna Dalecki.
That was
And then
amazing.
everyone, hi, yay!
And I walk out and
Yeah.
trip. But yeah,
Yeah.
anyway, go ahead.
Deanna, in your career, you've built teams that have launched measurable marketing successes for many Fortune 100 brands and have led Blue Duck Agency's growth with innovation, insight, and a healthy dose of no fluff. You've championed hiring for the intangibles, those deep character qualities that make a difference, and have been known to have the hard, honest conversations that people need. Outside the office, you're navigating life with 2 teenagers, 3 dogs, and you still find time to paint ceramics, cook, write, and yes, indulge in a little reality TV therapy.
A lot of reality TV therapy. But
Buckle in, everyone, because we're about to unpack the leadership lessons, marketing mastery, and personal quirks that make Deanna who she is.
I am very quickly regretting this. Go ahead.
Let's kick it off.
Let's do it.
All right. So I wanted to start with a couple warm-up questions about you and, who you are as a leader. What is something that people get wrong about you as a leader?
Get wrong about me? I think people think I'm more intimidating and scarier than I am.
I could see that.
So I think that's something that I try to be mindful of. But I'm pretty approachable and don't take myself too seriously. And I'm probably one of the first people to say I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But I think at first blush I can come off as a little intimidating.
Yeah. Yep. I could totally see that. And I think it's because people are not necessarily used to the directness,
The style.
which ultimately ends up being a blessing. At the end of the-
For some people.
for me,
Yeah.
personally.
I
What's
don't know
your,
if Cindy would say it. Is my directness a blessing?
Yes, for sure. It's motivating.
there you go.
Did it freak you out at first though?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because poor Cindy, when I first joined the company, I fired like 30% of the people. So
Oh, whoops.
I made an impression.
You made it efficient.
Yeah.
We're still here.
Yeah.
You did something right. What would you describe as your workplace superpower and what's your kryptonite?
Oh, my workplace superpower is, and I think it's a life superpower, is typically when I get really upset, angry, worked up about stuff, I get very articulate. So I can really make a strong argument in case when I need to.
That's great.
And be pretty, I feel good about it, right? Doesn't always happen, but it tends to be the superpower. Kryptonite, my email inbox, man, like it is bad. It is not a place you want to be. It's not good. I
A
am
wasteland.
yeah, like I am not as organized as I should be. I mean, I find the things,
Yeah.
but I'm sure I'm very annoying sometimes because I should be a bit more organized than I am.
It
I am a
happens.
grown up.
It happens.
Yeah,
Yes.
but it's not. It's a scary place.
So a quick ping. Hi. So I sent you that email on Tuesday.
Yeah.
I'm going to resend it to the
No,
top
but
of
that's
your
like so
inbox.
obnoxious, and I feel so bad when people have to do that. But
It happens to the best of us.
Yeah.
There's
So-
too many emails to manage. There's a
well,
lot.
I get hit from like so many different types of areas. You know what I mean? That
Yep.
it's hard to.
Yep.
But which is why organization is probably more important.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Maybe Janice can help out with that one day.
I
Maybe
think that ship
there.
has
No,
sailed,
just-
my friend.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was the moment that you knew you wanted to work in marketing? I know you asked that of me. Is there one defining moment?
No, actually, to be honest with you,
Yeah.
in college, I went to a college that I was just supposed to go to for a year and transfer, and then I didn't. And I ended up, it's one of my regrets. I know you're
Yeah.
not supposed to have regrets, but I do have a couple.
No, you can have regrets.
And I ended up having kind of a weird major. And the major because I wanted to graduate in 4 years. By the time I figured out some sort of inkling of what I wanted to do. Like I liked business, psychology. I love psychology. And I took a couple business and I took an accounting class and I liked it. So like I kind of cobbled together some stuff, but my mother had been in the agency space and I, at the time, wanted to be a copywriter. I love writing.
Oh, wow. I can see that.
Yeah. And so I got an internship at her agency in the creative department and did copywriting. Well, I did like, the company newsletter or whatever, but whatever. I
The
got
intern
exposure
version of
to
copywriting.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which was cool at the time to me. And then I very quickly learned that I didn't want to do that because I don't want to just have to. It's like when you read a book in school. Like if you're told to read a book, you don't want to read the book.
Yes.
It's the same concept,
Yes.
right? And so, but I loved being creative, and I loved, and still do, right? My mother was on the account side, and so it was that internship that I was like, this is really interesting, and I kind of like the marketing, and I like the sort of creativity aspect of it. I like relationships. I loved psychology. Like I like the inner workings, how people think, how they work. And so I'm like, I'll go into marketing. So my first job was a marketing coordinator.
Oh, okay, great.
Supporting a salesperson. And then that's when I got exposure to all the other areas and account management, and I made the jump. So
Yep.
I grew up in account management.
Got it.
Before I moved into broader leadership roles.
Got it.
So
Because you really don't know that you like marketing until you're in it.
until you start doing it.
There's
right?
really
But
no
I've
way to-
always liked it. It's like one of those things that you don't realize. I'm always
Yes.
paying attention to packaging or looking for the typos and the ads or loving commercials.
Yep.
And, and I was definitely, I'm not as much now in my role, but I was always a doer, right? Like I love checking things off the list and doing things. And so it was just a good mashup of everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
But there wasn't one big, defining moment.
Yeah, that's exactly how I felt too. So when you get into your career and you're on the account side, and then you get to the point where you're really firmly in leadership roles. So when you are assembling a team, what's the most important part and things that you're looking for to assemble the right team?
So I think something that people can fall down in manager roles, especially new managers, and I did it just for full transparency, right, is being hesitant to hire people who are good at things that you're not good at, right? Because you're worried that, especially when you're younger in your career, I don't want them to be better than me, and I don't want them to jump over me, and that's actually one of the worst things that you can do. So I think that is what I look for most when I'm assembling teams, is making sure everybody, first of all, that it's cohesive from intangibles. As you know, I'm a big fan of intangibles.
Yep.
So everybody works together from that perspective, but that different people bring different things to the table, different background experiences, different strengths. You're really great at a spreadsheet and digging into the numbers and the data. I'm probably not as strong. I'm good at it, but I'm not as strong. I don't love it as much as you do. Whereas I love the creative and presentation and telling a story.
Yep.
So you and I are
We
really
work well
strong
together on
together
that.
because of that, right? If I just hired another me, that's not a strong, that doesn't do anything, right? So trying to make sure that you're balancing out a team and making sure it's really well-rounded, but you're also addressing your strengths and weaknesses as a leader and filling those holes.
Yeah, that's great. That is very true. I think being concerned that somebody might come in and look smarter than you is something that totally
100%.
happens. Yes,
Yeah.
for sure. You're very known for having honest conversations, which is one of the things I really respect about you.
Yeah.
So how do you find that you deliver this kind of tough feedback without crushing morale?
I think I do crush morale sometimes.
Sometimes it can happen.
So I try to be, there's things I've said over the years, the positive sandwich, right? Making sure you're trying to position things with a positive, the sort of meat of the sandwich is the development area. And then you close it with something positive, right? Or the carrot or stick I've told you about.
stick,
Does somebody want to be just hit with it, or they need to be more gentle? So I try to do those things, but sometimes it still crushes people, right? So I'm a big believer in, especially when it's a really hard conversation, don't just hit it right out. Right? Don't delay, don't do too much small talk. If somebody's nervous, if you're getting called into something, they're probably nervous about the meeting. It's don't do that to somebody, right? So hit it head on, be clear about it. And if you do crush morale, work hard to build it back up, right?
Yep.
Because if you're still there, if the tough conversation is you're fired, that's one thing. But if you're still there, it's because there's a reason why you're there,
Absolutely.
right? And making sure they understand that piece too,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Or sometimes I've delivered messages too hard and I've gone back and been like, I'm sorry, that was too hard, right? So I think it's a balance. If you make someone cry, for example,
It happens every once in a while. Just sometimes people cry.
Sometimes people cry. So I try to balance it. I try to be delicate. I try to understand how the other person receives information better. But I don't always do it right. So
You're human.
Yeah.
But the underlying theme is that you're not forgetting the humanity behind the conversation.
Oh, never. I think that's one of the biggest things that leaders don't do.
Agreed.
Isn't that something I try really, really hard to do?
Yep.
As a manager,
Yep.
is remember the employees, remember the humanity, have empathy. The EQ piece is huge, right?
Yes.
And help people feel valued and appreciated, even if there's work to do.
That's definitely important. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Is there a leadership lesson that you learned the hard way?
Yeah. You got to earn the job before you get the job. You got to do the job before you get the job. And when I was earlier in my career, I thought I was going to get promoted. I was actually sure I was going to get promoted. My boss had left, and I'm like, obviously I'm doing, like, I should get this job. And I didn't.
Ooh.
I didn't. And it was embarrassing
tough.
because everybody thought I would just naturally get the job, right? And I had a decision to make. Do I leave? Do I stay? I did try to leave. I went and interviewed at another company, got the job. And then I decided I didn't want to leave. I was just pissed, right?
Yeah.
And so I decided to sort of buckle down and say, no, I'm going to show you I can do this and make you eat. I didn't say this, but make you eat your words, right?
That was your battle cry in the back of your
that was
head.
competitive to myself,
Yeah.
right? And I knew I could do it, right? And I had to take the feedback that I got on why I wasn't ready. And I very quickly sort of turned that into the opportunity, and I got the job. But it took me some time and some work.
But you didn't give up.
I didn't give up.
Yep, you kept going.
I didn't give up.
A couple more leadership questions, then we'll get to some fun ones. You're doing great.
Thanks so much.
Love this.
Yeah.
So obviously you're a woman in leadership positions, and that can be a more challenging thing to be. So does that shape the fact that you're a woman in leadership? Does that shape the way that you approach making a decision or having a conversation?
I mean, I should probably be saying yes, but the answer is no.
Great. I actually love that answer.
No. So I've just always been confident and strong, and I deliver no matter who it is to, right?
Yeah.
I was like this when I was junior too. Like, I always had pretty good relationships with the senior people on the team. Mostly they were men at the time.
Yep.
And I didn't ever let it change how I worked or communicated or affect me.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
It can be hard to do.
Yeah, it
For
can.
some
for sure.
females who are-
And I've definitely had moments in my career where I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
No, we're not going to have that conversation. We're not going to do that.
Yep. Do you have any advice that you'd give to younger women who want to move into more leadership positions, but maybe they feel like they're being underestimated or they're self-doubting?
I'm sure I'd have a lot of advice. I could teach a class on that, right? I think that it's something that I don't know. You have to, if you don't instinctively have it, you need to find role models and ways to sort of learn by watching or learn by seeing other people do.
Yep.
And you have to be confident. Like, I think, you have to be confident that you're not always going to make the right decision. You're not always going to be successful. You will fail. You will make bad decisions. You will have tough moments, right? But it's how you come back from that. I know it's so cliche, but it's true.
Yeah.
And believing in yourself is where it all starts.
Yeah.
Right? And you don't let somebody else dull your sparkle. I mean, if you're letting somebody else dull your sparkle, you're giving way too much control to somebody else, right?
I love that.
Yeah. And so that has to be something that you start doing and learning at a very young age because it will be hard.
Yep.
As you're moving up the ranks. I've been young for a lot of the positions I've had. I've had people who are older than me that I'm managing, and they're like, "Are you kidding?" It's like, no, yeah, I'm not kidding. I earned this job. I have the experience and I have the ability to do it. Age, no age, it doesn't matter, right? It's about experience and what I can contribute.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
I love that. Don't let anybody dull your sparkle.
Don't dull your sparkle.
That's the best.
Too much control to somebody else.
All right. Let's go to a couple of fun questions. This is actually really interesting because my first one on this was, what's your go-to pump-up song when you need to get in the zone?
Let's Get Loud by J-Lo.
And we've played it a couple of times today. Let's get loud.
Let's get loud.
Too bad we couldn't get the royalties for that and switch out our intro song for this episode.
Genuinely love that song.
I don't think we can put that money down right now.
I don't think so. Yeah.
What's a marketing buzzword that you never want to hear ever again?
Strategic. I use it all the time, but like it drives me insane.
I once heard somebody at a conference say directly, it was one of those, conferences and in the middle's all the stalls and, they're going around. And this man said to this sales guy who's, God knows what he's trying to pitch him, if I hear the word proprietary one more time, I'm going to rip my hair out. Yeah. He walked away.
I mean,
like,
fair.
It's fair. It's fair. Not everything can be proprietary.
No,
and not everything is strategic.
Not everything is strategic.
What's something that your younger self would be shocked to know about your life or your career right now?
I am so different now than when I was younger. So I would say, especially from a work standpoint. So I was not as confident when I was much younger and didn't, I would say I didn't believe in myself as much when I was younger, right? I compared myself to everybody else and I'm way stronger now. And I would give so much advice to that little girl if I could go back and do it again.
Yeah.
But, and I think just don't take myself too, life is hard. Like it's friggin' hard. And, we got to laugh. We got to have light moments and you got to be able to sort of ride the wave. And I didn't ride the wave as well when I was younger.
It's true.
So
it's harder to do.
It's a lot harder to do.
Definitely.
Definitely easier to look back, but
good. How do you actually unplug at the end of the day? Get out of that leadership marketing work mode.
I mean, the honest answer is I'm not very good at it. It's hard when you're running a company to shut off. So I do my best. My kids give me a run for my money, so I have to force shut off sometimes. But I do mindless TV. I love animals. I love my dogs. Take my dogs out, play with my dogs. I have a couple of app games that are really, really mindless and stupid.
Love the app game.
And
Which ones?
I have different ones. Like I have coloring apps. I have this fruit app, right? I can't even, if you saw that I was playing it, you'd be like,
you have to match the fruits?
Yes.
I know, I have that too.
Yeah, I love that stupid game. You want the watermelon.
Yes,
So like I'll do things like that to help. I love being in the car and blasting music. I love cooking, blasting music, and just relaxing.
Yeah.
So things like that, just to kind of distract myself.
That's
but
good.
I probably need to be a little bit better about it, but it also comes with the territory. So
yeah, it's it's a balance.
Yeah.
If you had to pick one reality TV show to watch for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Just one?
Just one.
That's not nice.
Sorry.
Probably Below Deck or Summer House.
Those are classics. Very solid.
This new Below Deck is good too.
This new Below Deck is going to be great. I really like Captain Carey. I like all the captains.
It's just
all the Below Deck is so good.
It's so well done.
They are so good.
Yeah.
All right, and then let's end on this one. What's one marketing trend that is exciting to you right now, or you really like right now?
I think what people are doing with video in general is awesome. Like, I just think there's so much more that we can do. Quick turn videos. And so I love seeing a lot of that out there and where people are taking it.
Yep.
But that's probably, it's a simple answer, but it's an honest
Video
answer.
content is king right now. It is interesting to see what everyone's doing out there.
Yeah, and it's in so many different ways. It's influencers. It's so many different ways that video's coming into play.
Yep.
And so many different types of executions of it that works for different segments, but all of it's pretty fun.
That's your marketing mind just buzzing, just going.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the Ducks Unplugged Tonight Show. I hope you'll come on again sometime.
I would love to. Thanks, Jimmy.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Where's my game? Don't guests get a fun game that he pretends that he's trying but lets them win?
I feel like it would be, if we do this again, some kind of singing competition.
Oh. all right. Well, we're not then that. I'm not sure I'm going to be available for the next episode.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So Ashley's brand.
Me. Here I am.
So I'm going to start off a little soft.
Okay. Thank
Ready?
you.
Yep. So just tell me one thing this week that you did that felt very you.
One thing this week that I did that felt very me. I am reading a new book series, and I really like to read. And I got to a point, I was finishing up the second book and getting into the third of the series, and I got super excited about the ending of the second book. And I was like, ooh, this is why I love to read.
Yeah, I love that.
And then it felt very me.
Okay, so that's good. That's good that you have
Punched the microphone because I got
I'm
so
sure
excited.
Wes is aware of it.
I'm sorry. I got so excited about this book.
He just dropped his head in frustration. We move a lot. Okay, so that's great. So, and you find time to read. So that is good that you make the time to do that.
It has been my mission this year to spend less time on social media and more time doing other things. And I feel like between my Bravo and my reality TV shows and my books, I have significantly scaled down my social media
Can you feel
time.
a difference?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I feel less guilty about wasting time scrolling on things. I feel less stressed about thinking that I need to keep up with things. Because before, I'm trying to get through everybody's stories. I'm trying to get through everybody's updates. And now, no offense, I don't care.
Right.
Like I love you all.
Right.
But you'll text it to me if you
Right.
really need me to see it or know it.
Right.
So yeah, that's been really healthy for my mental health this year.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's really, I wish I did more of that. That's
Yeah.
good. What's something totally random that you're weirdly obsessed with lately? Besides the dill pickle thing.
The dill pickle thing and in Formula One.
No, that's not new.
That's old. So I have been trying to figure out how I want to approach my health recently. That has been kind of a priority for me. I have a couple of pre-existing conditions that I manage, and I'm just getting to the point where I'm getting older and I feel like my body is just changing and I need to try some new things. So the other week I tried some juicing.
Oh my God, you were talking about this.
I tried this mix
greens?
of, yes, it was celery and it was ginger and turmeric, and it didn't taste great.
I do recall you saying that.
Yeah, it was tough to get down. I didn't notice any major differences.
Oh, you did get it down though.
I did. Yeah, I spent a solid week, drinking this juice. No major changes. Not going to continue on with that one.
Okay. Hey, it's all about living and learning, testing.
Yep, trying to move my body in different ways. So my health has been a priority.
That's great.
As of late, but more, less like medicine and more holistic.
More. I think and that's more, I think,
Try a little
sustainable.
everything.
Yeah.
Yes, agreed.
All right. So let's get into let's go back in time,
weeds.
Ashley. Yeah.
Into time machine.
Let's talk about baby Ashley, little
baby
Ashley. Yeah.
Ashley.
What was your childhood like in 3 words?
Ooh, oh my gosh, this is such a hard one. My questions
sorry.
are not
all
necessarily
right.
like this. No, that's fine.
Do you want me to start easier?
No. I feel like idealistic is a word that I would use to describe it. Family and competition.
Well, you had like
Two
a lot of
siblings,
sisters.
two siblings, 2 sisters, and just with myself.
Yep.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. So from an early age, you feel like you were pretty competitive
always.
with yourself.
Yes, I definitely have imposter syndrome. Like,
What was your goal? Like, did you want to be like just the best at everything, or you just always wanted to
Yes.
keep getting better at stuff? Okay.
Both. Always be the best, always get better. But I think that was a big theme with my generation because we were pushed into a lot of different areas. Join this club, do this thing, do this sport, always be better, always be, trying to push yourself. So that's not like an uncommon theme amongst a lot of my friends that we feel like we had that.
Did that like,
bar.
now I'm really getting deep, but did that like negative, did you ever feel like you're enough? Like, did you ever feel success?
This is why all millennials have imposter syndrome
Okay.
to some capacity. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel good about myself generally.
That's why
But
the
I
mental
always
health
feel like
and
I could be
therapy
better.
field is thriving.
That's so true. Take my money.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. Give me all the meds. Why don't you share with the audience, like, what did you do? Where'd you go to college? Did you have a major right away?
Yep, absolutely. I grew up in a very small town in New Jersey. Everybody left. And you would go either north or south. My mom put a 5-hour cap driving on where I could go to college.
Did you
so I
really?
picked the furthest point away, Boston, Massachusetts.
5.5. Yeah.
Literally
Yeah,
4 hours
yeah.
and 45 minutes. And I applied to a bunch of schools in the greater Boston area. I also have family up here. So this is kind of how I made my way up. I ended up getting into Bentley. I also had been accepted to BU. I really wanted to go to BU, but I chose Bentley. My parents ended up kind of directing me in that decision, better fit, and I'm so glad that they did. It was a great school. I went there for marketing. I always wanted to do something in business. Marketing felt like a broad enough type of degree to have to be able to figure it out. But I minored in media arts and society, which was really interesting, and it was more like the humanity behind business and understanding people.
I love that.
So it was a nice mix of something that was, very businessy versus a little bit more.
Well, I think that's a huge part of marketing and business.
It
It's
is.
the psychology of it.
You have to understand a little bit of both.
Yeah.
So I graduated with that dual degree, and then I just stayed up here. I love the Boston area.
But didn't everybody move up here?
Yeah.
So did your sisters both go
my
to
sisters
school?
both went to school
4
up
hours
here.
and 45 minutes away. Same.
Stonehill and Assumption. So we were all firmly in the NE10, and they both stayed. And then my parents said, "What are we doing down here in
might
New
as well,
Jersey?
right.
Might as well come up." So yeah, the whole family has migrated
Nice.
up here, which has been good. But yeah, I mean, good old Bentley University. It was,
Why did your parents nudge you more towards Bentley than they did BU?
I think that they knew, even in my mind, where I can handle this big city
Yeah, I mean, it's in the city.
school,
Yeah.
coming from this tiny dot of a town that
Yeah.
I grew up in. They were like,
Your eyes were a little too wide at that point.
girl,
yeah.
you need to go to a smaller school. But
Yeah.
there's access to the city. You can get right into Boston super easy. So they knew. I would have figured it out either way, but I think they knew that the transition would have been a little bit easier and I would have had a better time, getting confident at Bentley, which they were true.
Yeah. Nice. Excellent. Do you have any weird jobs? Like, what jobs did you do when you were younger, a kid?
It's the weirdest of jobs. We could spend a whole entire episode.
That might be fun to do. 'Cause I
On
had some
the
weird
weirdest
ones,
of
too.
jobs.
Yeah.
So in my very small town that I grew up in, Clinton, New Jersey, look it up. It is literally a little picturesque, quaint town down in New Jersey. My mother ran the Historical Society. There were a lot of historical events in town. I would get hired to dress up in period appropriate attire
Stop it.
and work those historical events. So was
All right. I don't want your
uh,
yearbook photo anymore. I want
you
the
did.
period
Okay,
photos.
well,
Yeah.
So was I like a small farm girl who would go into the farm section of the historic mill buildings and pretend that she was doing daily life while tourists walked around? I sure was.
Did you have to talk in period?
No,
No, okay.
we didn't get to that level. Were me and my sisters all dressed up as small ghost children in the graveyard while they would do haunted tours around Halloween?
Oh my
Yeah, we did that too. So you name it, we did it. This seemed super normal to me, by the way. And when I went to college and would kind of tell these
Yeah,
stories,
everybody's like, I worked at Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
I was
Right,
like,
right.
oh, okay, this is actually not very normal. No.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, so we did a lot of, just
I love that.
interesting things.
I think that probably built a lot of character.
It explains a lot
also
of my
explains
personality.
why you like to dress up and do weird things a lot. and
Just
work.
here,
It's so
here
fun.
she is.
There she
Yep,
is.
yep. So that was me. Those are my jobs.
Did you have any traditional? Did you work at a store or retail or
I worked
food?
at a store for a blip in time because a friend's mom needed some help.
Okay,
I would
so
do
it was more-
babysitting.
Okay,
And all that kind of stuff. When I got to college, I worked at the rec center.
Oh.
So that was my first, I guess, normal job.
All jobs are normal,
Yeah.
actually. Yeah.
Dressing up as a small ghost child. in the graveyard.
Hey, people went to see it.
They did.
And
yeah,
they wanted the
actually did.
experience.
They did. I gave them that
They have
experience.
Sturbridge Village. People
Yeah. That was basically,
Jamestown.
yeah, that was me.
It's basically
Smaller level,
Right.
yeah. Yep.
I do want to see those photos. I feel pretty strongly about that. So who would you say had the biggest influence on how you see the world?
My parents, for sure. Yeah, they raised us to be very independent. They're both independent in themselves as well. My mom has always been very driven too. She was a stay-at-home mom, which is an extremely hard job.
Very hard job.
But then after that, she was in our town council. She was a grant writer for our town. She did a lot of really cool things that impacted the community. So I always had the dad that worked really hard in business, but it was nice to have the mom too.
Yeah.
That worked equally as hard in everything that she did. So
Set
they've
a
been
great
my
example.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. Yeah.
Right.
Work hard, do the right thing and just kind of keep going.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
Did you have a long-term career goal when you were growing up?
Who even remembers?
I know.
I don't know.
I mean, I remember I wanted to be a solid gold dancer, but like, when did you know you wanted to, like, really honestly go into marketing and business, and that you had like a good sort of eye for that?
I feel like I fell into it a little bit because it's so hard when you're 17 and 18 years old to figure out what you want to do.
Totally. My kids are going through it right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think in another world, I feel like you need a couple gap years to figure it out. But then I don't know how that actually works logistically. But I felt like a business degree was a solid degree. Mm-hmm. And then when I graduated, it was the recession.
Oh.
So it took a while to find a job.
Yeah.
And when I found a job, I always thought advertising was interesting, like the bigger, flashier part of it. But when I actually got into the working world, I liked that marketing was more tactical too. And there was that level of data behind it. So I really think my first job at
You love the data.
good old Middlesex Savings Bank. That was my first job.
Was your first job or first marketing
My
job?
first job out of
Oh,
college.
I didn't realize that.
Yep,
I
that
mean, I
was my
probably did,
first
but yeah.
one out of college. And that was fun because we got to do a lot of, brand campaigns for the bank, but there was also all the data behind it. So I was like, oh, okay, I think I'm in the right place here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you went from Middlesex to
I went to
energy
efficiency,
right?
yep, a nonprofit that was later acquired into a for-profit. And that was a little bit tougher. The nonprofit was great. But that was an interesting sector to work into. And again, marketing is very, like, you can market anything.
Yeah.
As long as you have the data behind it. That one felt good because, you're kind of helping the environment too. It was really interesting to work with the utility companies and get some of the behind the scenes with that. So I did that for a number of years before coming to
Before we stole you.
Direct Associates Blue Duck Agency.
What we used to be named.
Yes.
Direct Associates.
Good old DA.
Good old DA.
Now BDA.
Now BDA. Mm-hmm. Can you think of a time or a decision or a moment that seemed small but really changed your path?
Ooh, I think of this all the time. I don't know if there's one singular one, but I do believe that fate leads you in different directions. And I always think, what if I hadn't gone to that thing? Or what if I had made the decision to not go play volleyball in college? Like, I wouldn't have my friend group. I wouldn't have met my husband. I just really feel like everything's very interconnected.
Yeah.
And that the universe kind of guides you in the right directions.
So you can't think of
Not one in
specific,
particular.
but you think it's all
I think it's all kind of
connected and
somehow.
intentional
Yes.
and sort of creating your
Yes,
path.
I do think so.
Yeah.
I feel like there's that energy.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. What motivates you today? How's it changed over the years?
Oh, it's interesting today because obviously my son is a huge motivator for how I want to be and how I want to keep growing. But then I also have to remind myself that I need to be my own motivation for getting better and doing what I need to do. Because without a happy mom, it's going to be a different life.
Right.
So a lot on family. And I'm also giving myself grace in this period of life, which is very busy. And knowing that that's okay to do.
Yeah.
So.
It's true. I don't think people do that enough.
Otherwise, my eye's going to keep twitching for forever.
Well, you can't see it,
We
so
can't have that.
it might feel weird, but
Yeah.
So you mentioned competition. You were very competitive growing up. Do you still feel like that's part of you today, or do you feel like that's evolved given your focus is more on family and?
I think I'm always going to be competitive with myself. So I don't think anything will ever be enough. I think I'll always be like, I could have done something a little bit better.
Yeah.
But then again, that's part of the grace that I'm giving myself.
You definitely
just
are
knowing
hard on
that
yourself.
I am that kind of person in general. But competitive growing up is an understatement when you have two younger sisters who are extremely gifted in sports. I tried my best.
I didn't know both were extremely gifted.
Yep.
So basketball, and what's the other sport?
Track and field, shot put, javelin.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, the cool stuff.
Yeah.
So they did great.
I'm sure you were a good volleyball
I tried my
player.
best. I was a great teammate. I was there. I was cheering. I was doing the things.
I forget where you are. You're oldest, right?
I'm the oldest. I have two younger sisters, Erica.
Well, at least you weren't following them At least you know what I mean? From a sports perspective. Imagine being like not as good and you're the last.
I would go home sometimes from college and be out and people would be like, "You're Jamie's sister." And I'd be like, "Yeah, I sure am." That's me.
Yeah. Aww.
So yeah, but I mean, it's just you're competitive with your siblings.
Everybody has their strengths.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. And now you're helping her. You've helped her with her.
Totally. Oh, we're all like best friends too. So there's no love lost on the competition.
All right. So what do people get wrong about you a lot?
I think people think I'm not as fun as I am. I am very fun.
I definitely
I kind of get this a lot, or I get from people, "Wow, I didn't know you were into that," or "I'm not a wet blanket. I just am a little bit monotone and very serious in getting things done."
Not a wet blanket.
But I like to have fun,
Yes,
and I do
you do.
fun things.
Right.
And I think people get shocked when
you dressed up in period.
I
here when you
dressed up
were
in
young.
period.
Right. I mean, you're fun.
I'm going to see a DJ at a club next weekend.
Woo!
The concert doesn't start till 11 p.m.
Wowzers.
Look at me.
You're going to take a nap, but wowzers.
I sure am,
Yeah.
yes. So yeah.
Well, if you had a warning label, what would be on it? You wild girl.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Spontaneously makes ticket purchases
Cries.
when drunk.
Do you do that a lot?
All
really?
the time, yeah. Yeah, it's like the running joke in my friend group.
Like airplane tickets or like
Sometimes.
Oh, for love, all right.
Yeah. That's why I had to take my credit card out of my Hopper app.
Oh my god.
Because sometimes I'd be like, "Oh man. Oops."
Where are we going now?
Yep.
That's so funny. What's your brand color?
My brand color.
Like if I were going to brand
Ooh.
you and market you, what color palette would I be using?
Sure am. Like a millennial green.
Oh, you do love a green.
Yeah, millennial
Yeah.
green is me.
What's millennial green?
It's like that foresty type of green
okay.
that everyone has in their homes right now.
Is that like a real color?
That's what
Millennial
they're calling
green?
it
Oh.
because remember the millennial gray? Everyone went through that area where everything was gray,
Okay.
tinge of gray.
All right. Not
It's
really.
green now.
So talk to me a little bit about just as we sort of wrap up the interview. Like, what are your goals? Like, do you have goals for the future? Is there anything that?
Yeah, I want to be happy and healthy and slow down a little bit. I want to say no to more plans. And I really just want to make sure I'm living in the moment every day. Because I think it's really easy to say, "Oh, I'll get to that in the summer," or "Oh, I'll get to that when I have more time," as opposed to treating every single day as its own thing, where you can do something to make yourself happy, or you don't have to wait till Saturday to go get the ice cream. Like, take my son out on an ice cream date. We did it on Monday. It was very cute. So just like living a little bit more present and in the moment.
Staying present.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really good advice.
That's my, for now.
Yeah.
It'll change in 5-10 years, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure. But every phase of life is different, right?
Yes, correct.
Anything else you'd like our audience to know, Ashley?
I don't think so. That was fun though.
That was fun.
I hope that people learned a little something about me.
Yeah.
I feel like I will try to dig out some photos of me in
That's actually
the period
really amazing.
appropriate clothing. We'll have to post a photo of downtown Clinton, New Jersey, and then everyone will be
I feel
like,
I've
"We
actually
get it."
heard of Clinton, New Jersey. I
It
don't
has
know why.
the Red Mill. It's this
Oh,
famous Red
that's
Mill that's
why.
on
Okay.
calendars.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's me.
Okay.
That was me.
All right. Well, you see, you came from a landmark town.
Yeah, I'm a landmark kind of gal.
You really are. Really are. Well, thank you
All
for answering my questions, Ashley.
Thank you for interviewing me.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. So hopefully you learned a little bit about us,
Yeah.
a little bit more of our backstory, and feel a little more connected to your hosts.
Yes.
That was the goal. I feel more connected to you.
I feel more connected to you.
Yeah.
I'm feeling very inspired right now, if I'm going to
good.
be
I'm so
honest.
glad. That's
Yes. Yeah. So thank you for that.
Hopefully everybody else is too.
Yes.
So thanks for watching. Follow, like, comment, tell your friends.
Tell
We're
your friends.
trying to go viral here, guys. So
Yeah.
not the right use of it, but I still keep saying it. So please, if you're enjoying the podcast, tell your friends.
Yeah, sure.
And check out our episode next week. It'll be a good one. Bye, guys.
Bye.